on, hanging around with somebody who has tainted hands.
Yes.
Like Kagame, that at some point he will embarrass them, and that at some point he will create conditions in which they will have to spend a lot of effort and money trying to overcome the kind of problems that he might create for Rwanda and for the region. But we need to go beyond Kagame's ally. And I think they have, if you see what the British were able to say about Kagame hunting down Rwandans in London some months ago.
Yeah.
And if you read from Ambassador Rice's remarks in Kigali, I believe that there is some kind of evolution on that front, but we need to double our efforts on the diplomatic front to get the international community really to begin to see Kagame truly as he is, instead of this other image that Kagame has built for himself and which you've in the past helped to propagate, so that people begin to look at him as truly he is. So there is a diplomatic effort that we need to intensify. Number 3, we need to try and really begin to build the internal processes, the internal structures of the RNC itself, because in these last 12 months, that was not a priority. The priority was to get to the people and explain who we are, build a bit of trust, get people into the organization. But now that we have members, we need to organize them internally so that RNC begins to model the transparent and accountable political organization that will demonstrate that in Rwanda in future, and will become exemplary in the future, because Rwanda has always suffered because political organizations that have been in power in Rwanda have tended to not to have internal democracy. So how could they champion democracy outside themselves?
Sure.
So we need to build the RNC as an effective and efficient, transparent and accountable organization that has internal democracy, so that we can begin to model and exemplify it right now and even in the future when we are operating in Rwanda. So that's a very big challenge, but I think it's an important challenge to build that kind of organization that is also a rebel organization, because we're a rebel organization. We're in the business of the struggle. And so we are not a formal, legally accepted organization anywhere, except in name. And so, to a certain extent, there are characteristics that we shall continue to have that we share with other rebel movements or national peaceful democratic movements. That's what we are. So we need to spend a lot of effort trying to build that. But we also need to figure out how to generate the kind of resources that should allow us to function, because and I think that goes with the people, because once people support something like that, getting resources always for a movement like this one has always been a challenge.
Yes.
Because you want to safeguard your independence, and so you want to make sure that the resources that you use for your purposes do not come from sources necessarily that might compromise your independence.
Certainly.
That has always been a challenge for organizations, especially at this phase of the struggle. And so, but we've been able to operate for 12 months. It has been the sacrifice of the Rwandan people that has allowed us to do this kind of work. I believe they will continue to, we shall continue to demand these types of sacrifices. And people will continue to give this sacrifice to make sure that we are able to operate. And lastly, we need to continue building a solid platform, a solid front on which we can begin to talk to each other as opposition organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because that's very important. As long as the opposition is fragmented, Kagame loves it. And
Yes.
the dictator would love it.
Sure.
And Kagame spends lots of resources, trying to buy this faction, trying to do this, luring, opposition leaders with positions in Rwanda.
Yes.
And so part of the effect of the impact of RNC's work has been really, Kagame is has felt so much threatened that even for those leaders in the opposition previously could not talk to, he's now beseeching them, literally kneeling before them and luring them to come back into the country. And so I think that while that is happening, the truth of the matter is that we need to continue to consolidate the opposition, talking to each other, bringing in civil society, bringing in, all sorts of organizations that are at least opposed to the regime, and figuring out how we can present a consolidated and strong and effective front against the Kagame regime. So that in itself is a big task, and we shall continue to do that. So those are some of the few challenges looking ahead.
Okay. Has Kagame tried to infiltrate the RNC from your experience so far?
I'm not really aware of specific examples of where he has tried to do that, but we always operate from the point of view that he actually tries to do that.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we've seen that in your meetings.
I know the leaders within RNC have been approached many times by Kagame's people. Previously, I know of a case of one of our leaders who was here in the United States, who was lured by Kagame and decided to go back into Kagame's camp. Others have told us, they tell us daily how they are approached by Kagame's intelligence, trying to lure them back into the fold. So this is how Kagame operates. He thinks he can always buy his way into these things, and where he cannot buy his way in, he will simply use violence to kill people, use intimidation. So yes, Kagame daily tries to infiltrate the RNC, but RNC, for people who've decided to join RNC, they are normally very committed people. And I think he's found that even when we're still an organization in its infancy, he's seen that RNC is quite strong, is building a very strong foundation, and to be very difficult for him to be successful. But even in the case, because in these struggles, all these things happen, once in a while there are people who become weak, and may decide to abandon the organization. What matters is that you created a strong organization that when that happens, it does not compromise the organization. And number two, you make sure that when people like those ones are leaving, there are also others who are coming into the organization. And the organization is strong enough to ensure continuity, that work has to be done. It even happened with the RPF. We lost the charismatic leader, General Fred Rwigema, at the very beginning of the struggle, and that did not prevent the organization from marching forward.
Yeah. Okay. My last question. I am shocked at the different RNC boards on Facebook and the amount of members there are. Did you anticipate this social media reaction to the RNC when you started it, or has this taken you by surprise?
To be honest, it has taken me by surprise. It is a pleasant surprise, though.
Yes.
It's a pleasant surprise, and it has also now very much in our mind has also proved one point, that we are now in a new age, and that as you think about transformation in one society, the global trends have really come to be very local, and there's no country that is saved from the impact of these global trends, especially the impact of social media. And so it occurs to me, and most of the people who are on Facebook, even my friends, I believe most of them are young people.
Yeah, true.
And so if we have to reach the young generation, I think an organization like ours has to make sure that we figure out how to use social media towards this, creating general awareness, organizing and mobilizing the Rwandan people. So, that has been a pleasant surprise for me.
And obviously the RNC is holding the message that the people want to hear, because they're, as you know, I published for other opposition groups to Rwanda, and they do not have nearly the reaction or the desire to join the movement that the RNC has.
No, and then precisely that's the point I was trying to make. I think ours was bound to be a very difficult message.
Yes.
It is a very difficult message. Even for us who've been at the forefront of this message, it requires each one of us individuals also to do a lot of soul searching and take positions which only a couple of months and years ago you could never even have contemplated. So it's a very difficult message. But the good thing, it's a message of the time. And because it speaks to the Rwandan condition, to each one of us individually, as families, as a communities, as as a nation, I think it's been it's a message that is striking at the heart of the condition of Rwandans, and I that kind of passion, you've seen it on Facebook.
Oh,
you
my
just
gosh.
post something and you see how much passion comes out. And of course, this passion sometimes is from the other side. Those who hate RNC hate it with passion.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and those who hate me, they do hate me with passion.
Yes.
But I don't spend time in that.
I know.
I want to spend a lot of time figuring out how people really can begin to tell truth to each other, to cultivate a culture of humility and tolerance. Yes. And in the hope that by doing that, we can attract also the element of forgiveness and forgiving. And in that process, hopefully, we can, construct reconciliation and healing on a more durable basis. That's what really interests me. As I told you, I never go to search the daily insults that Kagame heaps on me or heaps on RNC, because that does not create value for me, and I want not to put a lot of garbage into my head.
Good. Yes, I know. Okay, is there anything else that you want to say in closing?
No, in closing, I would say that I'm really very optimistic about the future. I know it's very difficult, but great things have always, very often emerged out of very, very difficult situations. And I think if there is one thing that I'm truly, on behalf of my colleagues in the RNC, the founders and the new members, the family is becoming large and large day by day. If there is one thing that I'm really happy about, it is that our message and our work has really helped people to overcome fear. And number two, and most important, it has created hope.
Yes.
And it's on the basis of overcoming fear and hope for a shared future that is truly the basis of true reconciliation and healing in this country. And if we can continue to consolidate this and build the momentum, at some point, overcoming fear and this hope that RNC has created will be translated into building a society in which we can all belong. And I'm very optimistic about that.
Great.
Yeah.
I love that you always give me a title for the article when you talk.
Thank Thank you.
All right.
All right,
Thank you,
Jen.
Theo. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much.
Okay.